Hello, my name is Ben Sigger. 大家好，我叫大金鹏, and this is the Adopted Asian American. So today we're going to be talking about some of the most recommended movies from my own personal take. They're absolutely the correct take, and if you disagree with me, then you're probably wrong, but that's just my personal opinion, which is fact, by the way. Anyways, so we have all of these movies are adopted related. So yeah, let's get jumping right into it. So up first we have Lion. I so actually a lot of the pictures for Lion is not available for commercial licensing, which is why there are actually pictures of a lion here, and a lion there, and not anything else. Also, my friend who I watched the movie with more recently, she thinks that Dave Patel is really, really hot, but I mean, you have me. With that being said, Lion is actually a really, really good movie, and I highly recommend it because it was my first movie about adoption. I was in high school at the time with my first girlfriend, and she kind of forced me to watch it, even though I didn't really want to, and I don't think I really was ready for it. But upon seeing the movie and seeing how great it really was something that moved me, and it made me cry. And it was one of those things where it gave me a lot of hope for eventually meeting my own family. Despite that, at the time, I wasn't really ready for meeting my family. It was just something that it got me to really think about that can that potential future that I could attain. And that was something that really impacted me throughout college because I knew from that moment forward that I wanted to meet my parents, and it was trying to figure out and navigate kind of that pathway throughout college. There's one scene in the movie where Dave Patel is talking about being from India, but his college has a lot of Indian classmates, and so they were like making a lot of jokes and jabs at the fact that he was Indian but spoke English and lived in Sydney, whereas a lot of the other Indian classmates or peers of Saru, that's the character's name, were from India or were students from abroad, right? And so this movie, highly recommend. Go ahead, watch it, check it out. The next movie I recommend is that one. Yes, I'm actually serious. It is Kung Fu Panda 1 and 2. Yes, let's go. One is not as important as Kung Fu Panda 2, but it does kind of like already bring that question into play of who am I in respect to the world and in respect to his sole responsibility. And I think we all, as adoptees, kind of understand who we are without understanding what our role is. Whether for Poe, that's being the Kung Fu Panda and knowing that he's always wanted to be the master of Kung Fu, is different from actually how he understands who he is. And I think that's really relatable. And in the second movie, that's where things really get to being a lot more relatable because that's really what the entire second movie is really about. Because there's even questions that Poe asks.
Who am I?
You kind of understand the fact that hey, look, we are put into a situation that is completely out of our control. And whether or not you're saving all of China from this guy who wants to destroy all of Kung Fu is totally different. But whether or not you're trying to figure out who you are in respect to being adopted, to being a minority within America, or to your responsibility and sole roles within your given society, those are all really important questions that we have to figure out and find for ourselves. And for a one of the reasons why I highly recommend it is because I watched it when I was a kid. And this is an integral question to start kind of asking yourself and try to ponder about who you want to be. And it still is relevant for young adults because we're at that point in time in life where we're figuring that out for ourselves. And having it done in a Jack Black funny comedy slash also very heartfelt moment is one of life's greatest gifts. All right, and the next movie that we have, it's a little bit more woke and a lot more disturbing than Kung Fu Panda, which is for again kids. But the movie I recommend is One Child Nation. I would highly recommend this to any Asian American adoptee or any Asian adoptee in general because if you were born during the during the one child policy era, which didn't end until the 2010s, and sure they were like relaxing on that policy in many regards, especially if you were from wealthier families. But this movie goes through Namfu Wang's experiences under that policy and how she was affected by the policy. But furthermore, it goes into explaining the ways that the Chinese government had tried to really control fertility and birth rates, and a lot of the methods were very, very dark and bad. And also because the families could sometimes not, the families are trying to have families and they're not always in control of what the policy does, and because they want to align themselves with the policy, a lot of these babies are abandoned from basically the get-go, and it's really hard to see. And the movie has some fairly disturbing images, which is why I do really recommend it, because it does kind of opened up my eyes to, hey, maybe the things that I learned about myself when I traveled to China more recently was fabricated, and that is just disturbing to me. The last adoptive movie that I highly recommend is the one I'm pointing to right now, and it is called Twinsters. So these girls from Korea were born as identical twins, but separated very, very young, basically at birth. And one moved to California, and then the other one moved to France. And it was really a very wholesome movie. I highly recommend you watching it. It's a great movie, and it kind of talks about her experiences growing up and always feeling like she had wanted a love that was beyond conceptual love, but rather something that she could feel within her soul that resonated with her, and finding that familial love at a very genetic level. And that movie is something that ends with a fairly good note. I believe the two women are now married and have a good life while still being connected with each other. So, highly recommend it. Anyways, if you guys liked this video or you have other inputs on video suggestions, please leave a like, drop a comment, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.